Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our program. Welcome to our channel. Welcome to our network. We're so happy to have you here at USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show today is Talking Heads. Talking Heads is a platform where experts are invited to come and have their own 30-minute show. During this show, they present information to help make us better personally and professionally. They share their expertise, their knowledge, and their experience. Today's expert presenter and talking head is Mr. red.olaughlin. Welcome, Red.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Jacqueline. Appreciate seeing you again. It's been at least maybe 4 minutes since the last show we were on together. But it is what it is in the world of USA Global TV and Radio, isn't it?
It certainly is, Red, and I'm really looking forward to the continuation of these presentations that you're doing. So I'm going to go backstage, and why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll give you your deck. Have a great show.
I shall pretend to do the best I can. red.olaughlin here. I'm a researcher. I'm not associated with any pharmaceutical company, never have been. I'm not a doctor. I have quite a few degrees, academic degrees, but none of them in medicine or in health and wellness. It wasn't until probably 6-7 years ago that I took the love of my life, which is really chemistry, long before I met my wife of almost 54 years. And I had a chance to help her go through her chemotherapy treatment at the time for breast cancer. And I started getting involved with looking up what's going on? How can I stop this from happening? What can I do to make it not so bad? And I found out that my original love for chemistry is now paying off in spades, because I've written several books and I've used my ability to research the human body at the cellular level and track down from a chemical perspective what happens along the way when, such as vitamin D hits the skin, and what chemical causes it to go into the bloodstream to get to the liver, and then it gets out of the liver and goes to the kidneys, and then finally gets back in as a working vitamin D to the rest of the body. And if you understand what's happening, then you can take actions, or at least live a healthier lifestyle. But even knowing sometimes is not always the solution, because we don't always make the decisions that we think are the best for us. But what I do is research for awareness. The whole purpose of these presentations I'm doing on Talking Heads is to take a topic and cover it in detail, so that when you do have something that's coming up, you can in fact go to your doctor and says, hey, this is what, let's say you have high blood pressure, for instance, and you can go to your doctor and say, I think that I might be able to exercise more, or maybe lose 20 pounds. And rather than put me on a blood pressure pill, let me try something else. And 9 times out of 10, 19 times out of 20, doctor's going to say, okay, fine, let's give you 90 days. You do it your way. And if it doesn't work, come back, we'll put you on the pill. Pills are okay, they work, but not every pill works for every single cause that's out there. But what I do is I give the information. Now, about 4 weeks ago, we started the series here on heart health. And the last 2 weeks, I've covered over a dozen causes of heart disease. What exactly causes a disease in the heart? And that can be high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, peripheral artery disease, heart failure, congestive heart failure. A lot of things happen, but if you know something that could cause it and you consistently continue to do that type of behavior, it could be something as little as, I'm not doing any stress management, I'm not doing any weight management, I'm not eating properly, I'm not exercising, whatever may happen to you. At least it makes you aware. The next part after awareness is education. Maybe I need to go watch that video again. Maybe I need to take some notes. I need to look some things up so that when I go and talk to my doctor, I can in fact have a good course of action. Let's go ahead and go with the first slide, Dr. Jacqueline. Today we're going to be talking about these 7 topics, 6 topics actually, and then we're going to summarize things there toward the end. But this is not, these 20 items that I've been pursuing over the last 2 weeks and today are not all the causes. I mean, I haven't talked about other diseases that, let's say you have kidney disease. Well, some of the things that you may need in order to help the heart are not going to get there, or some gut health issues. I'm just talking about the things that are measurable, something that can be done about, and that's really where I'm at. So we hear the term, let's go to the next slide, genes. And if you take a look, there's a lot of genes in the body, hundreds of them. And a gene is like a light switch. You sit there, and if you turn the light switch on, the gene is activated. If you turn the light switch off, the gene is shut down. Well, from a genetic perspective in general, a gene probably has a 1 to 5%, at maybe more than that, but in most cases, not more than 5%. One chance out of 20 of actually becoming activated long enough to cause a problem. And the gene was turned on somehow. Yeah, you have the gene, but just because you have the gene doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get whatever disease that's there. So if you take a look at what can you do to turn off the gene or never allow the gene to be turned on, those are essentially what they call epigenetic factors. And the epigenetics is the other half of genetics. These are things that we do in our everyday life, the decisions we make, the choices we choose, that will turn the gene on, that can help us, or turn the gene off, that can harm us. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of each of these things. There's no need to read these out. But these are the 6 most common genes that cause a heart disease issue. You can look them up and go into the details of what's there and how it gets activated and what you can do to shut it down. But in genetics, if you're looking at stress management, weight management, dietary, balanced nutrition, caloric restriction, exercise, those things are going to address everything at one time rather than try to just shut down the MIA3 or the CXCL12 gene. So those are the things that we need to look at. So as I get into what causes a problem in the heart, let's jump to the next slide and we'll get into some detail. Nitric oxide, I'm going to call it NO for short. Nitric oxide essentially makes our blood vessels more pliable, more flexible. It allows that blood to flow through without being restricted. And as such, your circulation improves. Naturally, from our food, we get a couple of different enzymes, blank right this second. We have a couple different chemicals, L-arginine and L-citrulline. Citrulline, our bodies make. Arginine, they cannot, but citrulline makes arginine. And when you have that actually creates nitric oxide in the body. And that nitric oxide is what goes out and works to our benefit. I have high blood pressure. I talked to my doctor about, okay, I don't want this, I don't want that. Let me exercise, let me do that. But one of the options I gave my doctor was the fact that I can take arginine. Arginine I take a couple times a day. And arginine, in an article I read literally less than a week ago, probably either very early this week or late last week, is being used to treat erectile dysfunction. In other words, increasing the blood flow in the body so that blood can get everywhere and do what it needs to do. But arginine, I find for me, I can take slightly high blood pressure, 140, 150 over 90 over 100, and get it right back down into the normal range without any problems whatsoever. So I take it in the morning, I take it before I go to bed. And if I take my blood pressure when I get up in the morning, everything's fine. If I take my blood pressure before I go to bed, everything's fine. And high blood pressure is a major contributor to heart disease. So again, for me, that works very well. Does it work for everyone? I'm not a doctor. I can't recommend it. I can't prescribe it to you. But I can tell you that it is an option that you can look at. There are a lot of products out there on the marketplace that will increase nitric oxide in the body. What happens when you don't have nitric oxide in the body? Well, a lot of things. And that's where your arteries constrict, they get hard a little bit. The constriction can lead to a lot of things. Increased blood pressure is one of the most common ones. But how do you know you might actually have nitric oxide deficit? Are there any symptoms that are out there? Well, typically symptoms are such things as you might have a memory issue problem, low stamina, you might have erectile dysfunction, blood pressure might be high. So some of the causes could be high blood pressure in and of itself can cause a problem, high cholesterol, smoking, obesity, not managing your stress. How do you go ahead and increase nitric oxide in the body? Well, the vegetables with nitrates in them increase naturally what you need. And primarily leafy green vegetables. If it's got a leaf and it's green, it's going to help you. Take antioxidants. There are nitric oxide boosters such as arginine that I talked about. And one of the things I want to warn you about is a lot of over-the-counter mouthwashes create a major problem with your heart because they're not allowing the nitric oxide that normally is created because of the bacteria in the mouth. The mouthwash destroys that bacteria. And so you're now minimizing a particular factor that could lead to good health by killing the good bacteria in the mouth. So you end up with a dry mouth, you end up with an imbalance of bacteria in the mouth. You could use baking soda, peppermint oil, what do you call it? The vinegar, apple cider vinegar. I use coconut oil. I do a thing called oil pulling. You basically put coconut oil in your mouth. I use about as much as a level teaspoon that I'd use for putting iced tea spoon, put it in the mouth, and then you swirl it back and forth as if it were a mouthwash. And you swish it back and forth between your teeth. If you've never done it before with coconut oil, the first time you may not even be able to make a minute. And don't swallow it because you're actually doing a lot of good. Sometimes I'll take it and I'll come up here and I'll do my digital review in the morning, and I'll go through my emails, I'll go through my website, I'll go through the things that I need to go, and I'm sitting there going back and forth, oil pulling. Very, very healthy to do. You could also use salt water. There's a lot of things you could do to help that you don't have to use a mouthwash per se. But and again, you need balanced nutrition to get the right chemicals to the right place in the body. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is it's a glycoprotein, and it's found in your tissues and in your vascular walls. And when you have an injury, it causes, through a chemical reaction, enzymatic, it causes fibrin to be released. And fibrin is what basically starts a blood clot. And that blood clot starts and it actually stops the bleeding. So sometimes you're put on a medicine that the blood thinners. Those are ones that stop the blood clotting from happening. But a natural blood clotter in our bodies is fibrin. And so the fibrinogen that's in the body is just sitting there dormant for all practical purposes until something happens. And you have two problems. You can have too much, that high risk, that can cause major problems with clotting internally and then risking a stroke. Or you can have too little, that increases your risk of bleeding because you don't have anything to clot. And that becomes a major problem. Symptoms, you bruise easily. Anytime you get injured and you get cut, heavy bleeding, just doesn't want to stop. Nosebleeds that happen for no reason whatsoever. Those are things that should not happen. You know, you get cut, you bleed, you stop the bleeding, everything clots up, boom, thank you very much. And that's the way things are supposed to work. But if they're not working that way, that's a clue. Something's wrong. And I would strongly recommend that if you want to start solving some of these problems with your health, start a little journal that may be of immense value. If you're taking your blood pressure every day, if you're taking your pulse rate every day, what's going on in your life that may increase your blood pressure? What's going on in life that is causing a problem? If you're getting a minor palpitation of the heart, if you're getting, I can't get a full breath, go ahead and write down in a log, date it, time it, and then say, what else is going on? Are you having problems with relations? Are you having problems with your boss? Is there a financial problem in your life? Is there a vacation? There are a lot of stressors in the life coming up. Take note of that, because what you think right now, you're not going to be able to remember later on. And that becomes a major tool that you can use with your doctor when you sit down and say, hey, doc, this is what's going on, and I think this might be able to help. So you pull out your little journal, and that goes there. Okay, so the causes of too little could be an injury, could be a blood loss in and of itself. You could have a liver disease, so you're not actually making as much as you thought. Smoking, some medications do it. Again, diet issues are there all over the place. Now, the big thing is that you can improve your diet, you can stop smoking, you can take a look at the meds and see what the byproducts or the contraindications are. But if the doctor says, okay, you have excess fibrinogen, they're going to put you on some kind of replacement therapy so you can actually get that. Maybe a gel, it may be an injection, it may be a lot of different things. But they're going to go on the thing that says a doctor has a legal and moral responsibility to treat what he or she knows is a problem. So you give them a problem, they're going to give you a solution. You would love to have the solution be a natural one, but they can't do that because the medical association cannot go before the courts and say, hey, I gave this guy vitamin C because I know that's going to work. Well, it may very well solve the problem, but that's not the options that the doctors have. And so you have to be very, very careful about if you want to take a natural option. Don't just start it on your own. Talk to your doctor, find out what's available. But with excess fibrinogen, typically speaking, they're going to start you on a replacement therapy program. Let's jump to the next slide, please. Excess estrogen. Estrogen, as everybody knows, it's a sex hormone, just like testosterone we'll be talking about in a minute. And it's for our reproductive system. Under normal conditions, right amount of estrogen increases blood flow, lowers your blood pressure, lowers your triglycerides, increases the good cholesterol, lowers the bad cholesterol. Those are things that we expect all the time. When you have low estrogen, you end up with arteries that are no longer as pliable. They harden up a little bit. And they also produce a series of chemical reactions that make it much easier for calcium to become plaque in your heart vessels and arteries. Your plaque is usually your oxidized LDL cholesterol, but it can also be calcium. And there are many reasons why calcium can go into the heart valves and arteries. And one of them is low estrogen. Another one is going to be low vitamin K. And we talked about that one last week. But what are some of the symptoms that you might have of excess estrogen? It could be bloating, could be a decrease in the sex drive, mood swings, headaches, fatigue, insomnia, weight gain, a lot of symptoms. But if you look at any and all of those, none of them say, that's definitely it. Because you could have fatigue and cause so many other problems. So it's a matter of, as you're keeping your health journal, what other things do you have besides that heart palpitation? Are you fatigued? Are you having problems sleeping? Go ahead and write it all down, because that's very, very important when you're trying to isolate a particular problem. Now, what can you do? Well, one of the causes is the medications. You may be on a medication that's going to cause excess estrogen. My wife got cancer, breast cancer, because the cancer she had was caused by excess estrogen. And that's a very major problem. Well, the meds that they gave her when she got done with her chemo and her radiation caused a lot of side effects that were not good. But you can inhibit estrogen in the body. She's on indole 3-carbinol, which is one of the primary chemical compounds in cruciferous vegetables, and it actually inhibits estrogen. And so that's what she's on, because it has no side effects. So that's what the body makes when you eat cruciferous vegetables. But body fat, stress, a lot of issues there. Increased alcohol use, smoking, toxins, liver problems. What can you do? Well, anything that's going to cause a problem, you do the opposite. So if you're not doing stress management, do stress management. If you have a lot of extra body fat, take that as a project. Healthy diet, reduce your alcohol intake, read labels and see what kind of toxins you're getting involved in. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Jacqueline. Okay, we just talked a moment ago about estrogen. Well, testosterone is your other sex hormone. And when you look at that hormone is created by another hormone, which is created by another hormone. And so if you're not getting say progesterone being created in the body, that's going to go downstream where you're not getting the DHEA, you're not getting testosterone created. So just because you're not getting enough doesn't mean in and of itself it's that problem. It could be something else that's preventing it from happening. But 98% of the testosterone you have in your body is bound to a protein or some other kind of chemical. 2% of it, as a general rule, is what they call free testosterone. And both total testosterone and low T, whatever you may call it. But the free testosterone can be done in a blood test. As we get older, our natural levels of overall testosterone and free testosterone decrease. One side effect of low testosterone can also be an increased risk for Alzheimer's. But as we look at our free testosterone, the benefits that we get from that is that it's needed in cell replication, strong bones, strong muscles. Those are things that the testosterone does. And so when you have low levels, your increase of cardiac disease starts. If you have high levels, now you have another problem, that's stroke. So you want to keep everything in that happy medium level. What are some of the symptoms? Well, obviously anything dealing with sex, your sex drive, your erectile dysfunction can be a problem. Mood, self-esteem issues are also in there. Fatigue, muscle strength. If you're not able to do what you used to do 10 years ago, is that an issue because of testosterone? What causes it? Well, typically injury, infection, some kind of problem with the pituitary. But if you want to increase it, exercise is good. Anything that's weight bearing is always good for testosterone. Diet, stress management, you've heard these things before. Vitamin D3 in this case. But another one that helps immensely is quality sleep. We discount our sleep because that's the part of the body that allows our bodies to actually repair themselves. And so if you're going out and you're doing a lot of free weights and you're exercising, you're running, you're doing the things, the body recovers during that sleep portion. And if you don't allow the body that opportunity to really and truly get into a nice, good, deep sleep where the body does all the maintenance it needs to do so that you can wake up the next day and not be bombarded with fatigue and other factors that make your life not so good or lead to heart disease, etc. So, but anyway, those are things that can be an issue there with that particular hormone. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. As I was doing my research into this, you find that if you look up something specifically, well, we know that vitamin D and vitamin K are problems that are associated with heart disease. However, if you look at how vitamin D actually gets transported, I mentioned earlier in this particular one, the sunlight hits our skin. There's a cholesterol enzyme that basically takes it to the liver, gets into that. But the instigator that makes things happen is magnesium. It makes things happen all over the body. So if you don't have enough magnesium, there's not enough oomph, not enough pressure, not enough vehicles to get the vitamin A from one point to another to activate it. And so if you don't have enough magnesium, it's going to stop your production of vitamin D. It's not going to allow the vitamin K to be formed properly. You're going to have a heart problem. And so that's why it's so important that you get the balance of all the nutrients that you need. Other chemicals that are a problem, vitamin A, calcium, and sometimes you don't want to be just taking a pill every time you need something, because the vitamin A maybe, you have that specific chemical you need, but you're not getting the entire benefit of having the vegetable or the fruit that has that particular vitamin in it. There may be another 50 cofactors that go with that vitamin if you're taking the natural ingredient. One of the ones I always highlight is vitamin E. E is an echo. There are 8 different chemicals that make up vitamin E. No single food has all of them. You get 4 tocopherols and 4 tocotrienols. And if you have literally almost no amount of alpha tocotrienol in your brain, you can probably survive a stroke and not have any lasting side effects. A lot of alpha tocotrienol in the body will cause a shunting and opening up of new blood vessels that minimizes the stroke potential to be long lasting, with a lot of problems that takes you months or years to get over, if you get over them at all. But the things that we typically see are a problem are the ones that are up there, the calcium, selenium, iodine, etc. But most of those are part of the electrolyte imbalance. You have your calcium, your magnesium, your sodium, all those things. But you also have other electrolytes and other, what do you call it, potassium, sodium, calcium. You also have folates, you have omega acids, A, E. Oh, copper is the other one. That's right. There's sometimes micronutrients that the body needs that if you're not getting it, is going to cause a problem. So what are the typical symptoms if you're not running all the nutrients that you need? Well, hair loss, and it may be hereditary, it may be a lot of reasons, but hair loss or hair growth could be the other one. Slow healing is always a very good one. Bone pain. Night vision starts to wane a little bit. You're not seeing as good as you used to see when you're driving a car at night. Fatigue, shortness of breath. You could have cold hands, cold feet, brittle nails, a lot of hair issues with regard to the quality of the hair care that you have. What are some of the things? Well, obviously, you get back to a balanced diet, but you need to increase your vitamin D3 levels. You also need to increase your fiber, healthy fats. There's just a lot of things in our nutrients, and there's about 30, 31 of them. I strongly recommend a book called The Walls Protocol. Dr. Terry Walls is a internist. Late in life, she came down with MS. She wrote a book called The Walls Protocol. That's WAHLS. It basically gives you the 30 plus nutrients the body needs on a daily basis in order to have super good health. I told a story about my wife's recovery from fatigue during chemotherapy, and I put it all on the fact that we changed over to the dietary protocol in Dr. Terry Wall's book. And literally months of chemo, fog, fatigue, weeks of radiation fatigue that would have happened otherwise were wiped out literally in about 48 to 72 hours, all because of balanced nutrition in the body. Let's go with the next slide there, doctor. Okay. So as we've gone through the last 3 weeks, we've talked about many aspects of cholesterol, LDL, HDL, too much, too little, oxidized cholesterol, this, that, and whatever. We talked about excess of this, deficiencies in that. Again, so many is hard to do. But you need to keep everything in a happy balance. And when we don't keep that happy balance, then we end up with problems. And then sometimes you end up with problems you don't even know because they're caused. Hypertension, there might be 10 different causes of hypertension. Doctor puts you on a pill to treat the symptom, and it may be treating the symptom of that particular one that's active at that time. It's like a headache. You have a headache. What caused the headache? Well, you don't know at the time, but you're going to take the pill just to get rid of that headache because it's important. But if you're getting a headache again tomorrow and the next day and the next day, write it down. What happened today that's causing you to have that problem? Are you thinking about something? Is it keeping you awake at night? What is stressing you out in your life? That note that you're writing on a daily basis or a weekly basis or whatever, those are things that are going to really and truly be of immense value when you're talking to your doctor. Now, what are some of the symptoms that you might have potential heart disease issues? Obviously, any kind of chest pain, tightness, pressure, discomfort, those kind of chest issues are a problem. You may have a pain in your neck, in your jaw, in your back, their arms. There are a lot of places that pain from the heart can manifest itself. So those are things. Just because you have my jaw is hurting doesn't mean it's not a heart issue. It could be something else, but it's a clue. And if you capture all these clues, it's going to make it I wouldn't say super easy. I guess make it much easier for you and your doctor to hone in and figure out where do you need to treat which problem when. Some of the causes, well, almost every cause of heart disease is going to be some lifestyle issue. It's going to be not managing your stress properly, not eating the right foods you have, not exercising the way you should be doing. It could be genetic, but again, we mentioned genes at the beginning. You make your lifestyle choices the right ones, and you're probably not going to have a problem. The major health concerns you have from not taking care of those heart issues are coronary artery disease. It can lead to heart attacks, cardiac arrest, heart failure, arrhythmias, peripheral artery disease, stroke, lots and lots and lots of things that are there that can cause that problem. What can you do? If you can capture your pulse on a daily basis, your blood pressure on a daily basis, record them. But essentially anything that's going to be a cause, you reverse it. So if you're not exercising, exercise. If you're smoking, stop. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, slow down. But take a look at what you were doing in your life and what can be better. Again, this whole program is set up initially for awareness to say, hey, this can be a problem. And as you learn more and more about that problem, that becomes the education process. And hopefully, with your journal or however you want to go in and talk to your doctor about it, I'm not telling you to do all these things. I'm just making you aware of them so that when you're going in and the doctor says, well, here's a blood pressure pill. Say, well, doctor, what if I do this or what if I do that? That is where the most benefit that you're getting out of these lectures are from. And with that, I'm going to go back to Dr. Jacqueline, and we're going to conclude the show here very shortly.
Hello.
Hello.
That was fabulous. You know what? While you were talking, I was like, oh, I forgot to take my blood pressure medicine today.
There are so many different kinds of blood pressure medicine, and one may work well for months or even years, then all of a sudden it's no longer effective. And I don't know whether because they're treating the symptom and some other cause came in there, but the symptom they were treating may have been the cause, but then some other cause got in the way. It's like Alzheimer's. You may be treating one cause as a symptom of Alzheimer's, but another 7 or 8 causes can creep in the way. And then all of a sudden, now you're going down the road to another disease that you don't even want to know about.
Very true. I know for me, I never had high blood pressure until my father died. It was very stressful. He was in the hospital for over a month, and I was there alternating nights with my mom. So it was just very stressful. And my blood pressure was like 175 over 100. So it was a real problem. So I was prescribed 2 medications, 40 milligrams of one, and I think 10 of the other. And long story short, I'm going to find out next week when I go to the doctor because I haven't been since November. But I'm now on one medication, 5 milligrams.
Yeah. Let's say I take arginine, and I take that in the morning and the evening, and I find that works well because I take my blood pressure relatively often. When I'm on a fast, I'll take it twice a day because I want to make sure I don't have a problem. But I'll take a lot of measurements of my blood pressure, my oxygen rates, my pH. So when I'm on a fast, I take a lot more measurements than when I'm not because I want to be super aware of something that might be happening in the background. When I had a gallbladder problem, I couldn't figure out what it was because gallbladder issues manifest themselves in so many weird different symptoms that it's hard to say one or two is there. It's interesting because my mom had her gallbladder removed. My grandmother had hers removed. My great-grandmother had hers removed. My dad has his removed the same month I had mine removed. My daughter's had hers removed. My son has his removed. There's a very genetic disposition for gallbladder issues. But had I known that 20 years ago, I could have done a lot of things that could have prevented that from happening. But when I went into the emergency room after suffering for hours and saying, no, I'll wait till morning when I can go see my doctor. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, I said, no, Moss, I got to go. My blood pressure was 250 over 180. And it took them a while to get that down. So I'm very, very, of course, in military flying, you're getting your blood pressure taken all the time. And I knew that losing 10 pounds or exercising could keep me under control. Well, as you get older, things are not under control like they used to be when you're in your 30s and 40s. And so you do more things to take control of your life.
Yes, we certainly do. And I think we put a lot more attention to it. And if we started doing it when we were younger, then
it becomes a habit and so much easier to do because you want to go to the gym as opposed to I got to go to the gym because you understand the reason why something's happening as opposed to, well, they said to do it. And that it doesn't quite sink well into the brain.
There's no passion there, that's for sure.
Yes.
So, Red, I would love for you to share with people how they can reach out to you. In the meantime, I'll look for your banner.
Fantastic. Red, like the color RED, for those people who are not watching the program today. Last name's O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN. So red.olaughlin.com is my website, or red@red.olaughlin.com. It's REDOLAUGHLIN.com, or red.olaughlin@gmail.com. Those are the easiest ways to reach me.
Thank you. There's going to be a quiz. No, I'm kidding.
I can make one up for you if you wish. No, not a problem.
No. Thank you so much. And thanks for another brilliant presentation, Red.
And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, I look forward to seeing you as well. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Catch you later. Bye now. Thank you again, Dr. Jacqueline.
Thank you. And thanks to all of you out there. Thank you for watching our shows or listening to our shows, for subscribing on our YouTube channel, for getting involved and being part of our team. There's so many opportunities here, and I'm always open to listening to new opportunities. So please go over to my website and go ahead and contact me there. I'm looking for the information. It's somewhere here. Here's part of it. You can, if you're interested in your own signature jewelry, you can go over to my personal website, which is drjacqueline.com. And if you're interested in being on our show, you can go over to Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com. And also check out our logo merchandise. We'd love to have you repping some of our products, our hats and our shirts. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we have a full day of broadcasting. So this is our last show for now for today. You can continue listening to our shows on the radio. You can go to mytunerradio.com, or you can download the app MyTuner Radio. And of course, we're on other platforms as well, but that makes it the easiest to just remember one. All right, thanks for now. We'll see you again soon. Bye.